So I've got a dirty little secret about Taurus. I did not have much faith until I bought two of them to test out. All right, well, there is just something fun about shooting out of a car or especially a truck, a little high off the ground, a little bit more fun. So make sure you guys get subbed up, get belled up, turn all those notifications right down there to all on so you get the videos when they come out. Huge thank you to my Patreons, massive support structure. If you want to support the channel at all, you can check out Patreon, use any of the affiliate links down below or any of those links over at tacticalconsiderations.com. So Taurus seems to get poo-pooed on a lot, as they would say. And there's a little bit of reason for that, and then there's maybe not some reason for that. There have been some quality control issues with certain models of the Taurus before, and it is a more budget-minded pistol, which generally means you're not going to get some of the higher-end coatings or maybe some of the more higher-end materials. Now, knowing that there have been some issues, I think most people out there kind of dog the Taurus brand without ever having even really run them out on the range. I know I have been guilty of that myself as well. Until I bought this G3 and the G3C, I had never really owned them, and I had never done more than say like a magazine through a Taurus specifically. And I think I just didn't give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, saying all that, I have experienced my first malfunction. We are definitely going to talk about that because I managed to catch it on video. But before we get into that, let's check this thing out and really see how it's wearing in, talk about any problems that may have come up, and kind of what you will notice once you get about 1,000 or a little bit over 1,000 rounds through something in this more budget category. And then of course, we will talk about the current pricing, go over that malfunction, and is this thing going to be worth your money? So we're gonna go ahead and get into this Taurus right now. All right, so let's do the follow-up on the Taurus G3 here. So we're not gonna go over all the detailed specs. I will list them over here so you guys will have a good idea of the overall specs, but basically this is their full-size offering. Comes with two mags. One is going to be a 17 rounder, the other is going to be a 15 round flush fit mag. Pick rail, it is a dual strike capability or restrike capability. That means if you fire and the round doesn't go off, it does have the ability to restrike, and it has a manual safety. Everything else will be listed over here. We're gonna go ahead and take this apart and just kind of see how this thing is actually wearing in. So it breaks down much like a Glock and many other modern striker fired pistols out there. And we will just take this piece by piece here, and we'll actually start with the magazine. So you can see the magazine is wearing, especially since I only have two of them, it wears about, I guess, as I would expect for having inserted and taken it out as many times as I have had to. I think it's actually doing pretty well, because I've only got two of them, and that's what I've been working with to get over 1,000 rounds for this thing. So the mag has not given me an issue at all. As far as the slide goes, right here you can see the Tenefer finish on this thing. It's a strong finish, but it definitely shows wear very quickly. I don't know how well this is actually going to show up for you, but you can just see there's a lot of kind of scarring and scratching. It's almost like even like a fingernail across it can kind of, you know, leave a mark in that Tenefer finish. It's not going to damage it. That's permeated into the metal itself. But if you look, like especially right down in there, you can actually see where the barrel has just taken the inside of the slide to Pound Town and is just wearing that coating off quite well. Little bit of uneven wear, especially right there on the side right here, which would be the right side. You can see where it's completely worn the coating off right there, but then on the opposite side, it's not quite as bad. So a little bit uneven, but a lot of things do that, including higher end brands. So overall, not bad. Haven't had any issues with the slide. Talking about the barrel now. So we're gonna see on the barrel, you can see some interesting wear patterns on it. You know, that typical smile across the top, but it's just, it kind of looks jagged, almost like that barrel is kind of just bouncing like that all the way down. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to make that out, but it's definitely an interesting wear pattern. You can see it's almost like skipping across that barrel right there. Does that all the way around. And then again on the bottom right here, you can see where the guide rod and spring has just taken that barrel to Pound Town and left a nice groove right there on the bottom of that barrel. As far as the feed ramps go, it's a little bit dirty still, but no other issues. Just maybe a little bit of kind of premature wear in my opinion when it comes to the barrel, just all the way around. Then you can kind of see where the tolerances are a little bit tighter and where the wear is a little bit more on the backs and all of the corners. So just an interesting wear pattern on it. It seems to like certain spots. Maybe they were high spots in the machine process, like right down there at the bottom and all the corners. But it's still running. I don't see any issues, and I think that's probably something you're gonna live with on a budget-minded setup. Guide rod, spring, haven't had any issues, although it seems that the guide rod and spring is maybe a little oversized for the barrel. Now getting into the frame right here, you're gonna see right there on the rails, it's pretty much eaten all of the coating off the rails. But again, you'll start to kind of see a little bit of where that slide is wearing slightly uneven, where there's some coating left on the front and on the rear sections of the rail right there. You'll see the left side here is almost completely gone, and then you'll see where the right side, it's kind of just favoring a little bit of one side to the other. As far as the locking block in there, pretty typical wear for the amount of rounds. Trigger mechanism, everything is holding up just fine. As far as the frame goes, I've run it a lot with a light out of a holster in my original video. The texture is great, no issues there. The trigger doesn't feel bad, like tactile wise to the touch, but that trigger with the restrike just has a lot of travel in it. It's not the best. There are definitely better triggers. Overall, the angles of it and the way it feels from the actual thumb recession right there, would I've liked to have seen some texture up in that area that matches this, or a little bit more of that texture everywhere. I think it would have been quite a bit better. Other than that, no real issues with the frame. Let's go ahead and put this thing back together, and we're gonna do some trigger pulls just to see if she's loosened up a little bit. And I haven't done any trigger pulls or anything since the first video. I have just been running the thing repeatedly. So we'll go all the way through the restrike into the actual brake. I'm not gonna start halfway. We're just gonna run this thing as if it was being run out on the range. And I'm going to pull where I pull from every time, which is low, because that's where I try to get my finger right in that area. Make sure this is all the way on camera. So that was just over 4 pounds. That's not bad. So we're gonna do 2 more, just because I tend to do 3 on pretty much everything. I'm gonna try and pull from the same place right here. And we're gonna be almost exactly in the same place. Not bad at all. This last one, I'm gonna pull a little higher on that trigger shoe, which is where a lot of people will end up putting their finger if you don't really concentrate on getting lower. So we'll go right about here. And even pulling mid-center, a little higher on the trigger, it's right at 5 pounds. So overall, the brake weight is not terrible. It's just with that restrike, the trigger's just got a lot of take up in it. So let's go ahead and talk about the price, the performance, the malfunction that I did manage to capture on video, and my overall thoughts of the G3. All right, so all of that wear that you see on here is pretty much to be expected of a more budget-minded pistols. Now, I checked today prior to filming this video at my local store where I bought this one and my G3C. It's still $263. Now, I know that might be, I think, like $10 more than I originally paid for it, but that's not bad considering the current climate. Now, let's go ahead and talk about that malfunction that I got on camera, because that's the first and only one that I have had. And I'm not sure if I did that by dragging the first round as I pulled it out of my pocket to do a magazine exchange, or if it was an issue with the pistol. So let's go ahead, watch it, and you be the judge. Ooh, that's the first malfunction right there. That's the first one I've had. Let's see what it is. So the round looks good. We're gonna load that round back in the mag and see if this is gonna work. I don't know. So as you can see there, my reaction was pretty much surprised. That was the first and only malfunction I have had with the G3 in about 1,000 rounds, a little bit over 1,000 rounds now. So I don't know if it was something I did or if it was an issue with the pistol itself. I reloaded that round, fired it, and I had not had a single issue before or after that one. So I don't know. You're gonna have to be the judge on that one. It was some kind of weird extraction ejection stovepipe with an unfired round, so I don't know quite how that occurred. So knowing all that stuff, why the reputation and the price point for the Taurus G3 or the G3C? A lot of that is really gonna come down to quality control. At $263, you're not gonna get the best coatings, the best materials, or the best quality control. As you kind of saw some of the wear and that weird kind of funky front sight, the gap seems to be getting a little bit bigger. You're just not gonna get some of the best materials, and that quality control can suffer. Little errors or little problems with machining are gonna make it through that QC process. And I think that's really on both accounts to be expected when it comes to a $263 pistol. Now at the price point, the G3 and the G3R, I still think they're an exceptional value. Having the amount of rounds that I have through both of them and only experiencing the one malfunction with this, I think that's pretty good for the price point, and the fact that a lot of people that are gonna buy this thing are probably not gonna put a whole ton of rounds through it. But you have got to run these things. When it comes to a more budget-minded pistol, you've got to clean them, I would say multiple times prior to the first range trip, but you have got to ensure that they're gonna run and run reliably. You need to get at least, I would say no less than 300 rounds through that thing before you can really trust something that's maybe a little cheaper or needs a longer break-in time like some things do when they're not necessarily machined the best or made out of the best materials and maybe don't have the best coatings on them. But the decision is always yours. If this is in your price range, I have been happy with both of the ones I have purchased. That's what I've got for you all today. I hope you guys liked learning and seeing the follow-up on the G3. If you haven't seen the G3C, I will leave that link down below. If you guys want to support the channel, check out the Patreon. Again, huge thank you to all of you supporters there. Or you can check out any of the affiliate links below or at tacticalconsiderations.com, or check out Shall Not Comply if you want any of that sweet channel swag. You guys get out there on the range and have some fun. And remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And I will see you guys on the next one.